Phase 4 is the worst Marvel phase so far. I don't know if it's just going to get worse or what, but either way I think we can all agree that Marvel Phase 4 was just all a bunch of garbage. In my opinion, there was only 4 good things to come out of this at a push. So today I've decided go through Phase 4 and walk through this utter shit show. But since there is like a million TV shows and movies in Phase 4, I will be cutting some out, mainly the shows as they suck. So these are the ones that I will be going through. Since I can't be bothered to find out the order in which these came out, we are doing a wheel to decide instead. Please go to Spider-Man, please, oh fuck off. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of that isn't actually that mad, is the stupidest movie I've ever seen. I was actually excited for this, as the first Doctor Strange was a good movie in my opinion. But I was highly disappointed when I watched this garbage. First of all, it uses Wanda as the main antagonist, which you wouldn't understand unless you have watched WandaVision. And don't worry about WandaVision, we will get into that shit later. Fucking kill me. How the fuck is Wanda Sorcerer Supreme? No, seriously. How is he Sorcerer Supreme? He is the most irresponsible character I've ever seen. He also does nothing throughout the whole thing. But neither does Strange. But still, Strange should be Sorcerer Supreme. They use the excuse of that he was gone for 5 years due to the blip and all that, but why not just give him the position now? He definitely deserves it more than Wanda. Can we just talk about how Strange proceeds to get more dumb with his decisions every fucking movie he's in? First the spell in No Way Home, and now he's just a mess in this movie. Strange goes to Christine's wedding, but then some monster called Shumagorath from the comics is chasing down a comically inaccurate America Chavez. Since I've got about 10 movies and shows to go through, I'm not doing a scene by scene. So basically, Strange defeats the monster while Wanda does nothing. They ask the girl about why it was chasing her, and she basically explains she is wanted because she can travel across the multiverse or something. Oh, and I forgot to mention, she is in a scene before this where a Strange from a different universe helps her escape, but she still complains at him for not helping her, even though he sacrificed his life for her. And then our Strange buried the body at the sanctum, fuck knows why. Oh, because it's needed at the very end for some bullshit magic. Let's talk about the actual multiverse element. There's hardly anything. They travel across like 15 universes in one scene, but then the only universe except from the main one we see is the one with Reed Richards and the Illuminati. Basically the new Avengers, some of the strongest characters. Oh, Wanda has already killed them easily. Let's actually talk about Wanda in this movie. She sucks. Her character is fucking awful and stupid, and you wouldn't understand any of her reasonings without watching WandaVision. She also is possessed by the Darkhold. But later she just seals it. The final conflict in the fucking movie is so anticlimactic it's unreal. Not even to mention the awful Strange vs Evil Strange fight. It was so bad they are more fighting with fucking piano notes than anything else. Okay, I've had enough of Doctor Strange and the multiverse of that isn't actually that mad. Next. Thank God we got a good movie. But Spider-Man No Way Home also has a couple of issues in itself. Since this is more complaining about these movies and shows, I will not go into detail of what the movie did well. But I did really like the movie while watching in cinema, and it is easily my favorite movie of Phase 4. But anyway, let's get into the negatives. The first one being when Mysterio revealed that Peter is Spider-Man. Many bullshit things happen here. Like, why does Mysterio think showing a faceless video of Spider-Man and telling everyone that he has an army of drones that were literally attacking him, by the way, is going to make people believe that Peter is Spider-Man? Also, not to mention the fact that he makes up some bullshit excuse to explain how the massive elemental just fucking disappeared after his drones malfunctioned. I mean, shut the fuck up. We all saw it, mate, you lying dickhead. Oh wait, people actually someone believe Mysterio even though there's like no evidence except from one shit video which proves nothing. Not to mention, how the fuck is the video actually being recorded? Who is recording this? It's not a random person. But it's also not one of the drones. So how the fuck is it being recorded? Last thing on this. Why the fuck did no one think to explain what happened on the bridge? Why the fuck do they not explain to the authorities what happened? Anyway, enough of this shit point. I mentioned in the Multiverse of Madness section that Doctor Strange made a stupid decision with the spell in this movie, and this is what I'm talking about now. Why the fuck does he not tell Peter about the warnings of the spell? This bullshit leads to Peter wanting to change the spell multiple times. Which he does, but it results in the other people that know Peter Parker is Spider-Man coming from other universes. Not to mention that making people forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man does not mean that they can't just watch Mysterio video again and learning his identity again.
It is of no concern.
Why has this spell never been used in the past? I mean, it would have been useful in so many situations to make people forget things. Like Thanos or Wanda in the multiverse of that isn't actually that mad. Oh, it's because it is only for this movie so we can have people coming from the multiverse or something. So Strange basically locks up the lizard as he detected him after Peter left. And protests to not do this within everyone else. And leaves 3 teenagers, 2 which don't even have any powers at all and do nothing except help Peter find them. Later Strange and Peter have a terrible fight where Peter wins because of the plot.
But he was too fast for him and used geometry to beat him.
Yes, exactly. Plot bullshit. Then Ned somehow opens a portal with the sling ring Peter took from Strange somehow. Even though he has never used it before and has no training at all with it. Bullshit. There is also many already established things that this movie fucks up. But I'm sick of talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. So next. Shang-Chi has one of the stupidest villains in anything ever. Apparently the Mandarin has been around for 1000 years. If not fucking longer. He also is trying to take over the world in this time, with the 10 rings. Which he just fucking found with no explanation at all.
It is of no concern.
Also, not to mention the fact that how the fuck has not taken over the world in the 1000 years he has had. I mean, if he had, he would have been controlling every event that's happened so far in the MCU on Earth, including the Nazis in Captain America. So the Mandarin is a dick. Also, now whenever I say the 1000 years that the Mandarin has been around, I mean at least 1000 years, as it's unclear. It could be fucking 10,000 before I know. Why is everyone a fucking idiot in this movie? Including Shang himself. Also, the movie follows no rules at all. I mean, Shang and Katie leave their fucking jobs to go to China to find his sister and they just leave. Without telling anybody. Also, not to mention they get a flight instantly without any preparation. And why does Katie come anyway? She serves nothing except from helping defeat a couple of idiots at the very end. The only reason she's in the movie is because you need a side character to tell unfunny jokes. Also, can we just go back to 1996 when the Mandarin was still taking over the world for a second? So the Mandarin somehow finds out about a secret village in 1996. And finds out it exists by reading a fucking book. Okay, but how did he not find out about or read this book in the last 2000 years? So he goes to the forest, which has a secret bullshit pattern which he has to go through to get to the village. They drive there in a car, but the maze changes. and makes their car crash. The Mandarin saves himself with the rings, and then persists to just fucking walk there. So what was the point in that bullshit pattern shit? If he's just going to walk anyway. He comes across the narrator Yin Li, which is also Shang's mom. But anyway, they talk for like 2 seconds and then have a terrible fight. Why is it terrible? Because the Mandarin somehow loses because he doesn't try, and also because of some bullshit wind technique or something which should have no effect on the Mandarin at all. But somehow it makes him lose. What? What is this bullshit? Fuck it, let's just skip back ahead to the present. In the present, Shang gets on a bus, where the worst fight scene so far happens. Mainly because it's such bullshit. I mean, it's on the bus. And the bus driver doesn't stop once. And no one needs to get off at any of the previous stops. And the one time he does need to stop, the fucking brakes have literally just been cut 5 seconds beforehand. Also, Shang should've died a couple of times but didn't because of the plot. He defeats the guy and learns that they are going after his sister. So he takes the flight from the bullshit I mentioned earlier. So they get a flight to go to his sister. But I have no idea how they actually find her. He says it's because of a postcard, but the fucking postcard only has a dragon on it. But they somehow find her and then get forced into an underground fight club, which he didn't read the document for at all and just signed it without having any idea what this is. A reminder that he didn't know this was an underground fight club at this point. He asks if the kid knows his sister and he says he doesn't, which is a fucking lie as he literally says her name. And knows her as Shang said her name to him when asking. I have no idea why he would need to lie, but sure. Before this we get to see the abomination fighting Vaughn, which I won't go into in this section. We will leave that until She-Hulk. So Shang is fighting his sister in a match. And it just makes no fucking sense. You may be thinking, what doesn't make sense? Well, the fact that Shang is somehow beaten by his sister. Huh? It is mentioned at the start that Shang was trained from a young age, while his sister wasn't. So how is she somehow better at fighting than him? Oh, because she watched while Shang and the others were training, and taught herself to do it better than them, which somehow results in having actual fighting experience and proper training. No. Shang should have destroyed her in this fight. Anyway. The same group of dickheads that were on the bus from earlier show up. But this time with some ninjas for some reason to get Shang's sister's pendant. The fight goes on for a while, without the friend somehow dying even though she should have died like 8 times. The Mandarin then comes up with an excuse for him having the same name as him, but then it turns out the Mandarin's name is not the fucking Mandarin at all, and instead they decide to retcon a retcon of a retcon. Or something. What? What the actual fuck? Skipping ahead, Wenwu, which is the Mandarin's real name, locked up some guy which comes into the story later after some bullshit happened. But it doesn't matter because he does fucking nothing. Wenwu contradicts himself by saying that he needs to find the Tallow entrance, when he has fucking walked to it countless times beforehand. What a dickhead. He then blames the people of Tallow for his wife's death. He also left to get food at 10 a.m. which actually results in her death. Why didn't he fucking lock the door and get some guards or something?
It is of no concern.
He places the pendants in some dragon shrine's eyes that's never been seen before to let him go to a place they doesn't actually know exists until now because he's been hearing some voice or something which he thinks it's his wife calling him or some bullshit which makes no fucking sense, as why would she be calling him? She's been fucking dead for about 10 years.
It is of no concern.
Okay, I've had enough of Shang-Chi. So basically a quick summary of the bullshit. Shang's father unlocked the thing where he believes that the voice is coming from, but it turns out it's just a fucking dragon, and not actually a voice, and then the dragon goes around the place destroying everything, but it's somehow defeated by some plot armor bullshit. All this is happening while Shang and Wenwu are having the worst fight in CGI history. Wenwu is killed by the dragon, I think, while locking it up after being defeated by Shang. Oh wait, never mind, Shang locks it up with the 10 rings that he took from Wenwu after beating him. Then after they go home. But Won shows up and they talk about the rings. And then the movie ends.
Next!
WandaVision is the worst show I think I've ever seen. First of all, I thought they had solved this bullshit about Wanda, and how she is still getting over the loss of vision. She literally takes over and manipulates the people of a whole fucking town just to be with Vision. I have no idea why Vision is just being taken apart now 5 fucking years after. Also conveniently after everybody was snapped back. Including fucking Wanda. But anyway, why is this body just around the place? I have no idea how the house plans end up in Wanda's car, which results in the bullshit basically starting. I have no idea why the land is still here 5 years later, so the land that they was going to build the house on is still there. As she proceeds to manipulate a whole town. Agatha is not under mid-control and is just acting. So when Vision basically frees her of the mind control, it doesn't make sense. As the same thing happens for her as it did with everyone else that Vision did this to. Anyway, Wanda changes the size of the barrier even though she didn't know how to do it in the previous episode. Monica somehow knows how it feels to be mind controlled even though she wasn't being controlled. She also gets some basics superpowers and a random magic energy wave detection bullshit plot armor type random ass thing so she can figure out what is controlling Quicksilver. Which is so, a random necklace, a rip-off Vision is created. No idea how, because no one has ever dealt with some bullshit. Then to power him up they use some bullshit leftover magic that was there from a spell Wanda used the previous day. Bullshit. Also the rip-off Vision doesn't even do what he's supposed to do. Sword does all this in like 9 fucking days or something. And does all this while also giving him a laser which can somehow overpower the fucking Mind Stone? I can't do this shit anymore. Let's just get to the end of this bullshit. Going on to the final. After Wanda throws a car at Agatha, she gets her head crushed by the rip-off Vision, and suffers no injuries. Vision convinces Wanda to revert the town or something in about 2 seconds. Then Vision fights the rip-off Vision. And we get that bullshit, where a man-made laser somehow overpowers the Mind Stone. Then we get the last fight, where Agatha fights Wanda. And Wanda only wins because of some ruin bullshit that Agatha used earlier on the barrier so she can use magic but Agatha can't, which Agatha used once. And then Wanda creates ruins which aren't even the same as Agatha's. Wanda takes Agatha's remaining power which should be non-existent. Then turns her back into the neighbor. I'm done with this fucking shit.
Next!
For the most part I enjoyed Loki, but it has its flaws. For one, how have the TVA never showed up before? Loki escaped with the cube and the TVA come for him. The first episode is basically just setting up the TVA, which I did like. So in episode 2 Loki hunts down another version of himself. But she is way superior to the other Loki somehow. The variant is going to destroy the TVA, until they get sent to some random plant, in 2500 or some bullshit. And this is where the show really slows down, is a drag. At least for episode 3. But anyway, they go around and nothing really happens except them building the variant's character. The planet is about to be destroyed. But lucky one of those bullshit space portal things appears and they go through it. Then the next episode is such bullshit it's unreal. As the timekeepers show up, which are apparently the rulers of all time and keep the sacred timeline in alignment. But the variant Loki kills them and turns out they are just robots or something. What? You have to be fucking kidding me. Which leads on to the next episode, where they go to this random ass bullshit realm where conveniently out of all the people in the fucking multiverse, About 100 Loki variants are in the same place, and one of them is a crocodile for some reason. They have to fight and somehow defeated some random cloud which apparently is really strong as it consumes everything or some bullshit. In reality it's just a guardian for He Who Remains. Which we will get into now. He Who Remains is a bullshit character. Apparently he controls everything and the sacred timeline. He literally is above all and he is the only reason the timeline is how it is. So basically every event that's played out so far is because of him, which means that nothing really has an effect on anything. Also if he is the one making this happen, why doesn't the just prevent the variants from going to different universes? Anyway, the variant kills him which sets his variants free, which basically is going to set up Phase 5 and the Ant-Man movie. Well, that show sucked.
Next!